Hello YouTube, it is your boy GZTV. We are back with another video, and today we are going to be talking about the 5th episode of the first season HBO television drama series, The Sopranos. We're talking about college here. Meadow's going to college. It's like an interesting thing. It's a pretty good episode, I will say. This is definitely one of the first iconic episodes for this series, and this series is one of the best ever. So we're going to kind of get into the synopsis, what happened, and then we can kind of talk about my thoughts and others' thoughts on the episode. So Tony takes Meadow on a trip to Maine to visit 3 colleges she's considering. I mean, she's a pretty good student. She obviously has a bunch of bumps in the road with like the teen life, you know, falling victim to things like drugs and partying and all that stuff. But still a smart kid, it seems. That's like what the movie's kind of setting her up to be. So during the drive, Tony is taken aback when she asks if he is in the mafia, and he instinctively denies it. You can't just outright tell your daughter, like, yeah, I'm in the mafia. Like, that's not something to be proud of. That's not something anyone but the people that work with you should know, you know. So then, Meadow gets skeptical. She's skeptical about him and like some of his actions throughout the entire episode. She gets skeptical, and he admits that a portion of his income is from illegal gambling and other activities. So he's kind of like easing into like telling her almost. This isn't going to be a long video, by the way. There's not really much to talk about this episode. There's a lot of great moments, obviously, but it's not like this episode wanes on for too long with some of that. So Meadow admits that she took speed to study for her SATs, but when Tony reacts angrily, will not say where she got it, because if she told him she got it from Christopher, that man would be dead meat. He'd be a dead man walking. That's a terrible idea. And they're trying to kind of getting confessional. So she's like, this is a very confessional episode, and I feel like the show creators are really good at making episodes consistent and having some sort of theme to them. Here it's like confessional stuff. Tony's finally admitting to her daughter that he's doing some pretty illegitimate stuff to make money, and now she's admitting that she's done drugs before. So yeah. So both seem relieved by this mutual honesty on difficult topics, even though Tony is probably pretty enraged, and he's going to be pretty enraged knowing this for a long time. And it was really weird how nonchalant Meadow was about telling him. I don't know if that really made sense to me, but yeah. So they get to a gas station. Tony thinks he spots Fabi Petrulio, a former member of the DeMio family who entered witness protection after turning state's evidence. So this is a guy that they've hated. Him and his mobsters have hated for a while. So Tony contacts Christopher to run the plate number from his car and finds that he now goes by the alias Fred Peters. So they think that he got into witness protection, got out, cleared his name, got a new identity. So Tony resolves to locate and execute Fabi while continuing his trip with Meadow. This is fucking insane of Tony to do. He's on this trip with his daughter, trying to bond, trying to get her to pick the right college. And then this comes up and he has to still be a mob gangster and take care of business. It's just a double life. Juggling. Oh, sorry. So he leaves her with some students she has met and confirms Fabi's identity when, in the office of his travel business, he sees a carved bust. A hobby of his when he was in the DeMio family, collecting busts. So he looks at it, smiles, realizes they have the right guy. Like, he didn't really know it at first. Him and Christopher had some doubts over the phone, but he saw that and he's like, yeah, this is our guy. We gotta get him. So Fabi, who feels someone is watching him, finds the motel where Tony and Meadow are staying and aims a handgun at Tony, who suspects nothing. The presence of 2 other guests prevents him from taking the shot. So it's just kind of like this plot convenience. Obviously, Tony Soprano is most likely going to be alive for the entire series because the show is named after his family. But yeah, I don't know. So the next morning, Tony drops off Meadow for an interview. It's crazy. So he finds Fabi at his office and corrodes him, which pretty much means like taking wires and choking someone with it. We've seen that in movies before. It's a pretty popular thing, obviously. So he finds him and executes him for all the wrongdoings he's done against the gang, and he tried to get away. Witness protection. I mean, that's like a bitch thing to do. That's a soft thing to do. It seems to be seen by other gangsters as soft. So later, during a drive to another college, Meadow asks Tony about the mud on his shoes and a cut on his hand, and he provides some pretty good alibis, some pretty good stories. She can tell he is not answering honestly, and after a time asks for no more questions, because there's no point. It's just going to end in dishonesty from Tony. So, while Tony and Meadow are away, and with AJ sleeping over at a friend's house, Father Phil and Tanola, the Soprano family's priest, visits the house to enjoy Carmela's cooking and wine. We obviously have known for a little bit. I think it was kind of mentioned that they have more going on than what lets on and what it looks like. Dr. Melfi phones to reschedule Tony's appointment. How funny is this? Carmela, discovering that Tony's therapist is a woman, assumes that he is sleeping with her, so she might as well return the favor with Mr. Antinola. Right? I mean, kind of, this episode's kind of about, like, payback, and about, like, if I do one thing, you do the other thing, sort of thing back, you know. So during confession, Carmela tells Father Phil about her fears for her family and her soul, and he administers communion to protect her, you know. So she sips the wine, he drains the cup. They fall asleep together on the sofa. Half waking, they are about to kiss, but Father Phil suddenly desists and walks swaying to the toilet where he vomits. And obviously it's probably because he drank all that wine and it had like some stuff added into it. Could be it. I don't know why he just vomited out of nowhere. So he spends the rest of the night on the sofa. So in the morning, Carmela firmly says, we didn't do anything, it's fine. We don't want to go against our religion, all that. So Tony and Meadow return that day. Carmela tells Tony that Father Phil stayed the night. Again, just being confessional and revealing probably more than you should is what this episode's about. She counters his sarcastic comments by telling him that Melfi called. Yeah, very sarcastic, very sassy ending to this episode from Carmela. Yeah, I think we can get into the review of this thing. So people were already saying, you know, people that watched the entire series said this is one of the best episodes in the entire series. And it's, a lot of people say it's one of the better TV episodes they've seen ever, too. So yeah, I mean, the genius of the episode is that the storyline blends almost every aspect of the show's world so completely that it feels like a natural thing we're watching, not really a story being told. I mean, it's not like, oh, we have to make this good. That's not what people think. It's not like, oh, this episode, they made it good on purpose or something. It's like, oh, it feels natural. You know, the cinematography was great. I mean, the cross-cutting, the POV shots was amazing. It's very effective at putting us in the headspace of both Febby and Tony as they slowly stalk each other. You know, the episode was a strangely funny, incredibly tense meditation on what it means to choose the easy path every single time. Chase's use of only 2 stories so he could let them both play out in exhaustive, powerful detail. That was a great highlight of the episode. This isn't going to be very long, by the way. I'm only going to be talking about this for a little bit. So the shot of Tony staring wistfully up at a group of flying ducks, again standing in for the feelings of family and peace that seems to remain forever beyond his grasp, is quite stunning, and it's kind of crazy about a bunch of these full circle moments, how the show does this. I mean, I don't really have much to say. Yeah, obviously, Febby or whatever is dead. So that storyline's closed. It's not like they're going to have any sort of rivalry. They just killed him this episode. So, yeah, pretty excited. Probably not going to watch another episode of this till like Thursday or so. Yeah, I don't know how much I'm going to get done this weekend, though, because I think one of our friends is coming up. If I don't get videos out, it is what it is. That means I'm just going to take a break, I guess. I got to study for finals. I got stuff going on. Yeah, I don't really have much to say. I'm out.